So we've spent the morning learning about digital transformation and how to manage digital risk. One of the biggest parts of digital risk, of course, is the cyber risk introduced by digital transformation. And as we think about cyber risk, we know that within our organizations, we have the Security Operations Center that helps manage and respond to threats, to vulnerabilities, to incidents, and remediate those concerns. But those people, those processes, the technology we use in the SOC is undergoing itself a great transformation. And unfortunately, that transformation is becoming more and more complex. And that complexity is driven by the fact that the business is driving a set of new requirements. First of which in those requirements is the use of cloud. We had just gotten our hands around our data centers and the information contained within when here comes the business driving new requirements around private clouds, virtual clouds, the use of public clouds for corporate computing, data storage, et cetera. And so now the SOC is responsible for handling all of its responsibilities with this new cloud complexity. Additionally, we've also armed all of our employees with mobile devices and expected them to do work. Much of that work is now contained within those mobile devices. And so employees are now asked to be productive in many locations through many devices. And so now many employees are accessing corporate resources from 2 to 2.5 devices on average. Their laptop, their mobile phone, and maybe a tablet or an industrial device that they're using to do work. And the SOC is responsible for managing and securing and responding to incidents with mobile devices. And last, of course, our data complexity. Our data no longer resides in our private data centers. It's sprawled across the enterprise, not only on all these mobile devices, but in the public cloud as well. And yet the SOC is being asked to manage it, to respond, and to handle incidents associated with potential data loss dealing with these complexities. We're now asking a lot of that same group of people with the older processes, right, and the same technology. On top of all that, the industry is driving a set of changing requirements. Right? We now have not only this large, complex environments, but we have more and more alerts that are generated by all of the technology and devices that are being used throughout our environments. We don't just have firewalls anymore. We now have 4 layers of firewall management. We have more data being exposed at more places in the environment as we look at CASBs and other information and identity systems. And as a result, of course, we have information encrypted and stored on many more devices as that continues to explore out. And so these changing requirements, they drive more complexity, more work for the SOC. And now, of course, there's the additional challenges. Organizations are now recognizing, of course, that we don't have enough security analysts, and that it's very difficult within the environment that we live in today to be able to hire enough security analysts to handle all of those alerts that are being generated. So now we have this new challenge. Given a fixed set of resources, can we make those resources more effective? And as we think about the world of cybersecurity, that's a tremendous challenge. We also now, with all of this data being generated in which we're supposed to help manage and secure the environments, we're now supposed to find incidents within all that data. What used to be a gigabyte-sized problem is now a petabyte-sized problem. And how do we look through all of that data? Humans can no longer search and pinpoint threats. We need new tools. We need new abilities. And at the same time, we need those new capabilities and those new tools. Nobody wants 45 security tools to manage in their SOC. That's a lot of vendors to have to deal with. That's a lot of solutions to have to manage. That's a lot of data to have to correlate. All of these new requirements leading to complexity in that same SOC that has the same group of people, the same processes, and likely the same technology. Earlier this year, Gartner Research put out a paper that described the needs for a successful SOC, for a successful organization to have just the baseline visibility necessary in order to be successful. They defined this triad, one consisting of traditional SIEM technologies, making sure that you're collecting logs and have a record of what happened within the organization. And can you use that information to track user behavior and understand when you're seeing identities perhaps exhibit different behaviors than they did before? But they also expanded on that need to say, in order to really have complete visibility into your organization, you need to have threat defense, threat detection and response driven by your network, so that you can actually have the forensic ability to be able to replay what happened and understand not just from a breadcrumb log file about, ooh, something potentially bad happened here, but actually be able to detect and respond through a network means to exactly what happened and have the forensic result. And lastly, define the visibility needed by endpoint direct detection and response, so that you can track any of these actual threats down to the particular device, the particular user, the particular process, and truly understand exactly what's happening. And that without this entire collection of visibility tools, you couldn't be successful. Well, there's 3 more tools, 3 more challenges for the same SOC with the same processes and now new tools. And so where we have looked at is how do we bring those things together? How do we drive a way in which we can solve for some of the needs and help the SOC be successful in this ever-growing complexity? RSA NetWitness is the platform for managing your SOC to help you bring together the visibility that you need, which includes the entire triad as defined by Gartner. Being able to see traditional log information, including UEBA analytics looking over those large collection of logs. Being able to have the network visibility to understand north-south and east-west traffic. Endpoint visibility, to be able to connect all of those network transactions down to the endpoint that generated them. Enhancing that by allowing that to run on physical hosts, virtual hosts, even being able to provide the same level of visibility in the cloud for any work that is being done in the public cloud within your organizations. But it's not just about visibility for the SOC. Yes, that would be a great thing just to simplify that visibility platform. But once you have that data and it's fully correlated and indexed, you can use it to drive a series of detection insights to gain insights into the threats and the incidents that might be impacting your organization. And you can use a variety of engines on top of that. You can use machine learning and analytics across all of that data. You can use human threat hunting across that data. You can use real-time signatures and rules and correlation to look at data. And so you need a platform like RSA NetWitness to bring all of that together. Because if you have to string together a collection of 3 or 4 or 5 or 12 tools in order to get that data, it makes it much more incredibly difficult to do well, and more likely that some attacker is able to slip through the gap in information correlation. And of course, once you have those alerts, can you manage them? Can you drive out a great incident management process? Can the same technology and platform that helps you find those incidents help you remediate those incidents? Can you orchestrate and automate that response to help deal with the increasing alert volumes? All of that comes together in the RSA NetWitness platform. And we think about the platform as helping the SOC solve for these great complexities, the new way of doing business, by implementing this complete platform. And we believe that the RSA NetWitness platform becomes the answer of how you can solve this within the organization. You can see our path forward by some of the work that we've done over the last year. Late last year, we released version 11.2, which introduced UEBA over logs. It introduced a technology known as parse all, removing unknown messages. And for those of you who run large SIEM installations know that one of the biggest things you might deal with is a log message that you don't know how to parse. So now we can parse pretty much everything dynamically, using some intelligence, and automatically digest the key security fields. And we've made steps to improve our investigation experience so that analysts are able to reduce the number of clicks that they need to make during an investigation. All these things helping to solve the complexity problems. We drove that even further earlier this year with another release, 11.3, where we expanded analytics to include analytics coming from endpoint. We fully integrated the EDR solution directly into the NetWitness platform, thereby solving that multiple tool problem. So now that an analyst can work directly from a singular platform that has the same log data correlated to the endpoint data, correlated to the network session, so that an analyst can see end-to-end exactly what happened across that particular alert, and tie those alerts together with a set of remediation. Obviously, if you have all this data, then you want to improve it by making sure that you can search across this data and have it fully recognized. So if you search for an internal IP address, not only will you see all the log lines or see all the network sessions, but you'll also see the detailed environment associated with that endpoint, whether that's a server in your environment or an end user laptop. All of that capability brought in a singular place, in a singular experience, in a singular tool. And early next year, we will deliver our 11.4 release, which adds network analytics on top of the analytics that are already present in the platform. More than 30 data models to help detect new threats, new changes in behavior that are occurring on your network that I guarantee you don't have visibility to. I often tell the story of thinking about a customer who told me, well, how am I going to find things like golden ticket attacks and perverse encryption libraries being used? There's more than 1 billion network sessions in my environment. How am I going to find those? Well, a technology like NetWitness is going to be able to allow you to search across all of those network sessions and see exactly what a different encryption library is going to look like, or that someone is using a set of credentials differently than they ever have before, and drive out those behaviors. We have also extended out through our endpoint to help make it easier for the SOC. We've all heard of EDR and the ability to have visibility, and that's fantastic, but there's a huge SOC need to have beyond just visibility off the endpoint, but to be able to perform other avenues, such as log collection. Many of you within your security environments have log collection infrastructures. Yet another piece of complexity that you need. Imagine if you could remove that infrastructure and have it done by your EDR platform, so that your EDR platform is serving multiple purposes. Imagine if you could then do even more with that and have the SOC provide not only the reduction of that tool set, but also provide the tool set that allows you to have greater visibility on the endpoint, as well as find threats. That's the kind of environment that we're talking about. Being able to pull back registries, be able to pull back memory dumps, and then run full text search on them, or full text search across logs, across your entire environment. These are the kinds of improvements that we're delivering early next year, again, to address some of the complexities and needs that organizations like yours are facing each and every day. And as we move to the future, you'll notice that our 4 strategic investment areas actually parallel directly the types of needs that I identified earlier. Because we continue to hear from customers the need to simplify and expand visibility, especially on the network. And while we're delivering network analytics early next year, we're going to continue to drive out the ability for organizations like yourselves and folks in the SOC to gain not only greater visibility, but greater insight into those behaviors. We're going to drive visibility not just from the endpoint, but from all the workflows that are happening in the cloud. How do you capture all the data, no matter where the data is being generated? And how do we deliver that out? How do we rapidly help an analyst find threats, and then most importantly, understand the scope of what's going on? Do we have a singular user or user identity that's been impacted? And lastly, one that we won't write a lot of press releases about, but is critically important, is can we make the platform easier to use, less complex, require less resources, and help you make that journey to the cloud? I talked about the need to drive network visibility. And you can imagine being able to protect not just a standard set of north-south traffic, but imagine being able to do dynamic host discovery on your assets, such as servers, and know that this particular server is a SQL server and belongs to this cluster of SQL servers, and maybe even has this type of data on it. NetWitness is going to help that analyst understand not just that the endpoint is an endpoint and is a server, but belongs to this piece of context and potentially even has this piece of critical business need. We start being able to drive out not just north-south traffic, but also looking at east-west traffic. Being able to identify when one host within your environment is acting suspiciously as it moves and looks for other information in the network. Earlier today, we heard about the ability to be able to track threats and vulnerabilities, but really also be able to deal with incidents. And if you think about having the network visibility necessary, this is an area that really drives out an actual DVR, if you will, of what's happening on your network. The second area that I talked about is expanding visibility from the endpoint to cloud, which we continue to drive out as we start talking about delivering things like cloud network capture. In partnership with AWS, we announced a traffic mirroring support to allow you to collect the traffic that is going to any particular AWS instance. We've continued to integrate with AWS and Azure as they've announced some of their security collection techniques to allow that information to flow directly to your SOC. We've also continued to drive out the capability of multiple types of log messages. As the world's moved forward with information like multi-line JSON log collection methods, more and more information is flowing to the SOC than ever before, and it's changing the type of methods that are there. All of those are investments that we are making in the platform to help meet the needs of organizations so that the SOC continues to have the same visibility that it has in the past across all of these complex workspaces. We're also making a strategic investment as we continue over the last couple of years to help analysts do their job better. We feel very strongly that this is not a journey that will ever end. We continue to make this a priority. It has been the last 2 years. We will continue to invest here. And it's all about driving out analyst productivity. And yes, we continue to drive out new investigations and shorten the time it takes for an analyst to investigate an incident and respond to it, but also delivering orchestration and incident management capabilities through our partnership with Threat Connect. Known as Rsa Orchestrator, this is a platform that you can bring into your SOC to help orchestrate and automate not just the responses that you're dealing with from RSA NetWitness, but also bringing all of your security tools together and create standard responses, and then as you're ready to, automate those responses so that the analyst can be more productive. We can take work off of the analyst's plate. And more importantly, as we move forward, being able to take that data and publicize it, right, to the CISOs in the room, to your CIO, to your board of directors, so we can help you report on the value that the SOC is bringing to the organization. How many alerts have you had to deal with? How many incidents have you had to respond to? And how many ways have you protected your organization from a cyber risk? And as I mentioned, the last part of it is the journey part. It's where we help you make your journey to the cloud. We continue to make investments in hybrid deployments such that you can run RSA NetWitness as containers within your environment, both physical, virtual, container services, and soon as SaaS. And so we are ongoing this journey to eventually open up modules within RSA NetWitness to be deployed as SaaS services. Driving out new improvements to health and wellness. Obviously, if you're running components of NetWitness across this broad set of deployment areas, having a strong reporting tool to tell you what's working and where you potentially are overloaded becomes critically important. How it integrates into your environment. As we move from traditional AD integration as the single source of truth to AWS or Azure AD or to federated authentication, obviously NetWitness needs to be part of those environments. And so those are areas where we continue to focus on to help it make it easier for RSA NetWitness to work within your environment and make it easier to deploy. Again, solving those overall challenges. So as I've talked about, RSA is investing in your needs and continuing to build the RSA NetWitness platform to meet the needs and challenges that we see within the marketplace, and most importantly, at the highest level, helping you solve and manage digital risk, and in my case, for RSA NetWitness, helping you manage cyber risk. Thank you very much.